Jay-Z, Sean Carter, the Big Hove, the Jigga Man, the hip-hop Bill Gates. He'd become a staple not just in hip-hop but in music as one of the greatest lyricists of all time, and also has the highest net worth of any rapper with over $2.5 billion. Jay-Z is the ideal story of rags to riches, with a hardcore story of being a drug dealer in the depths of Brooklyn to now having multiple platinum albums and being half of Hollywood's most powerful couple. And when it comes to hip-hop billionaires, Jay-Z is surprisingly the only non-controversial one. Dr. Dre has a history of being violent to women, Kanye has said quite a lot of stuff, and I don't think I need to remind you of what Diddy has done, but Jay-Z for a long time was really the only one with no drama and no bullshit. That is, until now, because it seems like some of his past has now been starting to haunt him. But people started to get suspicious after his close friend and business partner Diddy was exposed as a monster, and he was pretty silent about it. And now with the recent lawsuit of him allegedly R-wording a 13-year-old girl with Diddy at one of these infamous parties back in 2000, people have been starting to legitimately question the man. Just how secretly dark is this man? What has this man been secretly doing in the dark that we're going to find out real soon? Are we going to start seeing a plethora of cases against Jay-Z just like how we saw against Diddy? But what a lot of people don't really know about is that he's actually had quite a long suspicious predatory behavior for over 30 years, as well as the many cutthroat business strategies that have left lots of his close friends in the dust. Diving into his recent case may just only be the beginning. So today we're going to be looking at the suspicious behavior of the Jigga Man and just how genuine he is. So let's cut the bullshit and get right into it. Now, growing up, Jay-Z was pretty used to violence and crime, as he did have to sell drugs just to get by with his family. And he would stop at nothing to get $1. Like when he shot his crack-addicted brother for allegedly stealing from the family to buy drugs. Or when he finessed his longtime friend and business partner Dame Dash for $29 million. Or when he stabbed record executive Lance Fivella for allegedly bootlegging his upcoming album. He's really stopped at almost nothing to get to where he is right now. These are all pretty well-known stories, and we can talk about that some other time just to save length on this video. We also can't forget about how he essentially threatened Rihanna into signing a contract with him when she was 16. Oh, you don't know about that? Well, in 2005, Jay-Z was recognized as a superstar and a business mastermind. He already had 8 albums released that did huge numbers, and he was now the president of one of the hottest labels in the music scene, Def Jam. Having connections to Jay-Z was basically the golden ticket to a music career. He had a bunch of successful artists signed under his belt like Kanye West, Memphis Bleak, and Cameron. And in his first year as president, he was looking for new talent, and he came across a young artist by the name of Rihanna. Now, Jay-Z heard her demo and he loved the song Pon de Replay, but he was a little hesitant to sign her because he thought that she was just simply a one-hit wonder. But after seeing her audition and meeting her in person, Jay-Z completely changed his mind. Not just blown away by her singing, but with her personality as a whole. He was impressed with her charisma and the way that she upheld herself. Jay-Z knew that this woman was going to be a star and did anything he could to sign her, including threatening and intimidating her. After the audition, Jay-Z's boss, Ellie Reed, instructed Jay not to let her out of the building. Literally. They basically made her stay in the Rockefeller office till 3 a.m. so they could get lawyers to quite literally create a contract on the spot for her to sign. Jay-Z even told her that the only way that she could leave is through the door with a record deal or through the window on the 29th floor.
He said, there are 2 ways to leave here, either through the door with the deal signed or through this window, and we're on the 29th floor.
That sounds like a joke, but they essentially intimidated a 16-year-old immigrant who did not have her parents present with her into signing a 6-album deal. That's a pretty fucking serious contract to sign, especially when you're not even old enough to have a driver's license. But technically, he didn't really do anything illegal, so I guess technically he didn't really do anything wrong. This sort of pattern continued for quite a long time. Jay-Z doesn't really do anything illegal, but it kind of gives you the weird impression. For one, he's always dated women with a very noticeable age gap. In the year 2000, Jay-Z dated a woman named Rosario Dawson, who was like 10 years younger than him. She was 21 at the time and he was 31, and this was consensual. And after that, he dated the famous singer Aaliyah right before she passed away in the year 2000. This was a little controversial at the time because Jay-Z was around 29 and she was 20. And again, there's really nothing wrong with 2 consenting adults, but it was a little awkward considering Aaliyah dated the singer R. Kelly when she was 15 and he was 27. And Jay-Z is also quite a pretty good friend of R. Kelly. And even after the leaked video of R. R. Kelly doing you know what with a minor, Jay-Z still released not one, but 2 collaborative albums with R. Kelly and went on tour with him in 2004. Rapper Nas even said in an interview that Jay-Z knew R. Kelly was bringing minors into the studio. So, clearly Jay-Z had quite a younger taste for women. Again, none of this was really illegal, just a little fishy, I guess. But there was always the speculation that Jay-Z had actually groomed Beyonce when she was a minor. Now, the story they tell is that they met when Beyonce was 18 and started dating when she was 19. And since Jay-Z is 12 years older than Beyonce, that would have made him 31 at the time. Yeah, again, a noticeable age gap, but they started dating when she was an adult, so what's the problem? Well, there are some conflicting things being said as to when they actually did meet. In some interviews, they say when Beyonce was 18. In some interviews, they say 17. In some interviews, 16. Now, in a 2007 interview, Jay-Z mentions that he first noticed Beyonce when she was recording her first ever album with Destiny's Child. Now, their first album was recorded back in 1997, which would have made Beyonce between 15 and 16 at the time. This implies that Jay-Z knew about her and maybe was keeping his eye out for her. And in the interview, he also says that he met Beyonce when she was 16, which would have made her a minor. And there's even photographic proof of them when she was 16 and when he was 28. Now, even if they did meet at this time, there is no proof that Jay-Z has actually groomed her. It's all just speculation, and it just looks really fishy. And obviously, they're still happily married to this day, so who knows? But on top of Jay-Z's affiliation with R. Kelly, what has really made people so suspicious is his affiliation with Diddy. Now, obviously, you guys already know who Diddy is and why he's so infamous. Jay-Z is an extremely close collaborator and friend of Diddy's for quite a long time. They have known each other since 1997 and have bonded over their shared love of hip-hop, business, and oddly enough, getting into very similar legal issues. They've considered each other brothers, and they're so close that Diddy shamelessly slapped Jay-Z's ass during a concert in 2007. There's been a lot of speculation as to where Jay-Z has attended the infamous Diddy parties. There's no proof of that, but there has been a video circulating online of Diddy and Jay-Z leaving a room that supposedly was filled with minors? Again, not confirmed. But when the accusations against Diddy came out, Jay-Z was noticeably silent. Not one word, which was pretty sus. Over time, people speculated less if Jay-Z was involved and really wondered more about what exactly he did. This really sparked up after October 1st of 2024 when lawyer Tony Busby announced that there were going to be over 120 cases being pressed against Diddy, and also announced that there were going to be more celebrities being named.
The day will come when we will name names other than Sean Combs, and there's a lot of names. It's a long list already. And of course, I already know who some of these individuals are, but because of the nature of this case, we're going to make damn sure that we're right before we do that.
So at this point, people really thought that Jay-Z's reputation was living on borrowed time. And that same lawyer, Tony Busby, was the one who represented a person who claims that Jay-Z and Diddy R-worded her at 13 years old in the year 2000. So this is what happened according to her. Now on September 7th of 2000, she was dropped off at Radio City Music Hall in New York City for the VMAs by her friend. However, she didn't have a ticket to get in. She tried talking to several limousine drivers to try and get in, and one of them was Diddy's. The driver told her that she, quote, fit what Diddy was looking for, and that Diddy preferred younger girls. She couldn't get into the actual VMAs itself, but was able to get into the after party. Soon after, the driver drove her to a large White House with a U-shaped driveway. Before going in, she had to sign an NDA and could not talk about what was going on in the party. She entered the living room where there were tons of drinks being passed around and lots of loud music playing. The party was filled with tons of celebrities that she recognized, and she even claims that she talked to a few. And many of them were doing particular substances. No surprises there. And after a little while, the girl accepted a drink from one of the waitstaffs. The drink had this reddish yellow mixture type color and tasted like a combination of orange juice, cranberry sauce, and also something else that tasted very, very bitter. Unknowingly, this drink was spiked. And after just a few sips of the drink, she felt extremely woozy and had to lie down. So she went down the hallway and entered what was an empty bedroom. She laid down on the bed to try and get some rest without locking the door. Soon after, Diddy, Jay-Z, and a third unnamed celebrity entered the room. Diddy went up to her with this really weird look and said, "You are ready to party." Diddy then threw her against the wall, which caused her to fall. When she got back up, Diddy picked her up and then threw her onto the bed. She was getting more and more woozy from the spiked drink at this time. And then Jay-Z and Diddy both did you know what. And when it was over, she left the room in a distress and no one at the party helped her. And then she left the party at night in the dark to try and find her way home. She found a gas station on the way home and an employee let her use the phone. She called her father, who then came and picked her up. And so far, that's what happened according to the lawsuit. When this lawsuit came out, Jay-Z spared no time in responding to this. Jay-Z accused them of trying to blackmail him for money and saying that this lawsuit was just a giant cash grab. My lawyer received a blackmail attempt, called a demand letter from a lawyer named Tony Busby. What he had calculated was the nature of these allegations and the public scrutiny would make me want to settle. No, sir. It had the opposite effect. It made me want to expose you for the fraud you are in a very public fashion. So no, I will not give you one red penny. These allegations are so heinous in nature that I implore you to file a criminal complaint, not a civil one. Whomever would commit such a crime against a minor should be locked away. Would you not agree? These alleged victims would deserve real justice if that were the case. This lawyer, who I have done a bit of research on, seems to have a pattern of these types of theatrics. I have no idea how you have come to be such a deplorable human, Mr. Busby, but I promise you I have seen your kind many times over. I'm more than prepared to deal with your type. You claim to be a Marine? Marines are known for their valor. You have neither honor nor dignity. My only heartbreak is for my family. My wife and I will have to sit our children down, one of whom is at the age where her friends will surely see the press and ask questions about the nature of these claims and explain the cruelty and greed of people. I mourn yet another loss of innocence. Children should not have to endure such at their young age. It is unfair to try and understand inexplicable degrees of malice meant to destroy families and human spirit. My heart and support goes out to true victims in the world, who have to watch how their life story is dressed in costume for profitability by this ambulance chaser in a cheap suit. You have made a terrible error in judgment thinking that all celebrities are the same. I'm not from your world. I'm a young man who made out of the project of Brooklyn. We don't play these types of games. We have a very strict code and honor. We protect children. You seem to exploit people for personal gain. Only your network of conspiracy theories, fake physics, will believe the idiotic claims you have levied against me. That, if not for the seriousness surrounding harm to kids, would be laughable. I look forward to showing you how different I am. Yeah, then he tries to really end it with this super edgy statement. I look forward to showing you just how different I am. Whatever the fuck that means. And this obviously got quite a lot of mixed responses from the public. On one hand, people are saying that Jay's trying to do damage control, and on the other hand, people are saying that he's just speaking his truth. There's not really enough evidence to support either one. Being silent on this matter would probably also get extremely divided responses too. Jay-Z's lawyer requested that the plaintiffs stop being anonymous and reveal their identity or dismiss the case as a whole, basically making the argument that it's really that serious and they should reveal themselves. Tony Busby responded by claiming that the plaintiff actually initially did not want any money, but only confidential mediation. Tony then filed an amended complaint where it claims that Jay-Z, and I quote, orchestrated a conspiracy of harassment, bullying, and intimidation against plaintiffs' lawyers, their families, employees, and former associates in an attempt to silence plaintiff from naming Jay-Z. However, there were inconsistencies being pointed out from the plaintiff's story. For one, she says her father picked her up that night, but the father does not remember any of that. According to the lawsuit, it would have been a 5-hour drive to where the woman was allegedly picked up. The dad does have recollection of one time picking her up in the middle of the night, but that it was just simply a local drive. The woman also does claim that it's common for her father to have very, very bad memory, and it's actually to the point where they've gotten into a few fights over it. But there's more inconsistencies too. She claims that she spoke to a celebrity that night, a musician named Benji Madden. However, Benji confirms that he wasn't in New York City that night at all because he was touring in the Midwest. And there are also photos of Jay-Z taken that night that show he was not at the location that she described. After the VMAs, Jay-Z and Diddy attended a after party in a nightclub called Lotus in New York City, but this building does not even remotely fit the description that the victim described. It's unclear if Diddy and Jay-Z possibly attended another after party where this took place. The only other solid witness of this case is the friend that dropped the girl off at the VMAs. However, she has since passed away. So for right now, the details on this case are extremely iffy and pretty goddamn confusing. There is a possible chance that this person maybe is telling the truth but just doesn't remember a lot of the factors because it was so long ago and they were under the influence. Or it could be a person who's just simply trying to take advantage of the obvious public bias against Diddy to try and make a quick buck. Either could be true and it's completely unclear. The whole case as a whole has gotten a lot of mixed responses, especially from 50 Cent, who, as we know, has been trying to warn us about Diddy for years. And when all that stuff was coming out about Diddy, 50 Cent was pretty quick to make a lot of jokes about Jay-Z being silent. But after the case came out, 50 had some mixed reactions too. It doesn't seem like he thinks this is legit either.
Wait, do you think there's truth to the Jay thing? There's no way.
Like that. Look, I have this thing where I'm conflicted when it takes you 20 years to remember something happened to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I go also 10 years, 20 years later, that comes back.
The only person who ever spoke up about Jay-Z before anything came out was musician Jaguar Wright, who was a backup singer for Jay-Z on MTV Unplugged. She actually did speak out about Diddy and called him a sex trafficker back in 2022. And at that time, everyone thought that she was off the loony bin. But after the first initial allegations of Diddy came out, people started to take her a little bit more seriously. In October, after the Diddy situation got much worse, she was interviewed by Piers Morgan, where she just completely went off on Jay-Z out of nowhere.
Because for 4 years, I've been screaming, not just Diddy, but Diddy and Jay-Z are monsters. And the victim-making machine kept going on. He starts little fires everywhere, forces everyone involved to go and carry water while he sneaks away without a response. That changes now, Sean. You must respond. You have no choice. Harvey Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein, Robert Kelly, Sean Combs have one person in common, professionally and privately. Sean Carter. I have 3 victims right now who are willing to give testimony about not only what Mr. Carter has done to them, but his wife as well. They're a nasty little couple. They do nasty things. Keeping people against their will, putting people on planes while they're unconscious, just like Aaliyah got on that plane, unconscious. There's a lot of things that people don't want to talk about.
Accusing him of wild stuff like putting Aaliyah on a plane while unconscious. Yes, the same Aaliyah that he dated in 2000 before Beyonce. And keep in mind, Aaliyah did die in a plane crash in 2001. And it was true that she was unconscious, as she did take an unidentified pill before getting on. Suspicious? Fuck yeah. Is there proof Jay-Z was connected to it? No, not at all. But it did raise a lot of people's eyebrows during the time. There's also a similar conspiracy that Jay-Z was tied to the death of one of his potential mistresses. It's a pretty well-known thing that Jay-Z has cheated on Beyonce before, as she did sing about it on a song where she referred to the mistress as Becky with the good hair. But there was allegations of Jay-Z cheating on Beyonce before that back in 2010 with a woman named Kathy White. Many people actually don't know about this for quite a lot of reasons. Jay and Kathy were spotted at the same club multiple times, and Diddy was also there. And right before Kathy was supposedly going to come forward with her experience with Jay-Z, she suddenly, randomly just died. And again, there's no proof that Jay had anything to do with it, but it's just really weird looking at the timing of it. Now, Jaguar's interview definitely caused quite a lot of headlines, because how could that not? But what made it even weirder was how Jay-Z and Beyonce's lawyers submitted a cease and desist to take down the interview right after it aired. And there's 2 ways to look at this. Now, if Jaguar was lying, it would have been pretty reasonable for them to want to take down that interview, or at least that portion of it. Like, even if you were innocent, you wouldn't want random people going live on TV and accusing you of being the same as the diddler, would you? There's also the second possible chance that Jay-Z actually did do some of the things that Jaguar said, and they are trying to intimidate them into silence. Either way, it's not really helping Jay's case here. And it also did not stop Jaguar from talking. She would double down on her statement in another interview the day after.
They're one and the same. Tell me something. When you have a peanut butter jelly sandwich, if it's just peanut butter, it's just peanut butter. If it's just jelly, it's jelly. When you put it together, it becomes a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and the taste is undeniable.
You saying Diddy and Jay-Z is peanut butter jelly?
Peanut butter and jelly. Let's deal with the sandwich.
Now, it's also a little hard to take Jaguar completely seriously. To put it nicely, she hasn't exactly proven herself to be completely correct up there. She falsely accused the rapper Common of sexual assault back in 2020, which she did admit to. And on an Instagram livestream, she started throwing her son's ashes at random people and then started rubbing them on her face. So yeah, take her statements with a little bit of a grain of salt. This is so far everything we know about Jay's pretty suspicious history and with the case. But however, other than the accuser's statement, there really is no proof that Jay-Z has really done anything suspicious or illegal. He's got some weird friends and interesting choice of women, but he's never really done anything predatory. Maybe Jay-Z really didn't know or was involved with what was going on. Or maybe he did know what was going on and just chose not to get involved with it. Or maybe it's a similar thing with Diddy, where the victims are just simply way too scared to come forward with what they experienced, or just don't have any proof against him. Filing these kinds of cases are not easy to do. The woman who filed this lawsuit has actually suffered multiple seizures and panic attacks from the stress of this lawsuit. And keep in mind, many of the things that Diddy did were decades ago, and many people were too scared to come forward until now. If it wasn't for Cassie Ventura, Diddy's ex-girlfriend, there's a pretty solid chance that none of the current victims would have came forward either. So is Jay-Z really just as bad as all of his colleagues, or is he really just another victim of defamation? I guess we'll have to find out.